Hey, what is going on, guys? This is Beanie. Welcome back to another video. Guys, I'm sorry that this final Team Epic review has been delayed just a little bit. I've had a few things going on in my personal life that's kept me from being as active on the channel, but I think I figured that out for the most part. I talked about it a little bit on my stream yesterday, so if you guys want to check out that, you can, I guess, whatever. But anyways, we're going to be doing the NL West today, finishing up the Team Epics, and the NL West is a pretty interesting division. They have some really solid players here, one of the better divisions that I've reviewed, so let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, starting out is one guy that I think not enough people are talking about. It's the 87 overall Diamond Steve Finley card. And this is a really compelling card that to throw on your team. If you're in need for like a left-handed outfield bat, this could be the guy for you. He, as a hitter, great power, you know, 87 power. That's very solid. He's not spectacular at any one thing, but he's just good across the board. And those guys have a lot of value. The guys who aren't going to hurt you defensively, provide you with enough power offensively, and have good enough contact and vision to where where you're never going to run into PCI problems at the higher levels. So overall, this is just a really solid guy. I mean, 75, 70 contact with 81 vision. Your PCI is going to be fine. 80, 87 power is enough to hit several extra base hits, get the home run out of there every now and then. You know, 80, 87, honestly, that's enough to hit a home run pretty consistently in this game. And you know my philosophy on MLB The Show, the home run is kind of the king. And I mean, if you hit a lot of home runs, it's the best way to score runs in this game. The only thing that is kind of a downer about this card is that there are versions of Steve Finley that have really good speed. And this card, he doesn't have great speed. 66 isn't terrible or anything, but it's not really going to help you a lot on the base paths. I'm sure that they're going to come out with more Steve Finley cards that have better speed than this one. The only problem is I don't know if he ever had a year where he really had the speed and the great hitting and put it all together. So I don't know if he's going to be getting a card that has this level of hitting along with the same level of speed. If he does, that could be one of the more intriguing cards this year to maybe go after. But he also has very good defense, good reaction, good fielding. His arm strength is perfectly serviceable for a center fielder. Maybe you want a little bit of a stronger arm in center and right, so you decide to put this guy in left field. If you do decide to do that, he will be an elite left fielder. 86, 77 is about as I can't think of many left fielders that have better defense than that. There may be a couple, but not many. So overall, just a very solid card across the board. Really like him. I think you should go after him, and I ended up giving him a fag of a 7.2. Next up is maybe the best gold card in all of the Team Epics, the 83 overall Ubaldo Jimenez. First off, per nines, diamond level. 86, 81 is very, very good for a gold. I mean, probably one of the better per nines for a gold card in the game. 86, 80, that's what, a combined 167 hit in K per nine. That is well above the threshold that we look for. One downside to this card is he might not have the best walk per nine or control. 47, it might be a little tougher to spot pitches with this card. But that's okay because he has fantastic stuff. So even if you miss occasionally, he has the stuff to kind of overcome that. He has 96 on both. He throws 96 on both fastballs, his four seam and his two seam, both at 96. He's got good break on his secondary stuff. A nice slow 86-mile-an-hour curveball. That's a slider. That's not really slow, but I mean it's slower than a lot of people's sliders. And I personally prefer slower sliders that really disrupt the hitter's timing. The power sliders, they may be good for opposite-handed hitters, but against the same-handedness, sometimes they can get hit pretty hard. The splitter kind of serves as his changeup. I would like to see a bit more of a delta than 8 miles per hour between his fastball and his splitter, but it still has good break on it. It's an effective pitch, and it can disrupt the hitter's timing some. And then if you really need that change of pace pitch, you have that 79-mile-an-hour curveball just to show that hitter that you're not going to be running it up there in the high 80s to high 90s every single time. So overall, just a very solid, balanced card. Is it worth, you know, going through all of these stats to get him? I mean, maybe not. You know, it's tough to justify that long grind for just a gold card, even if he is one of the best gold cards in the game. But he's still, that doesn't take away from the fact that this card is fantastic, one of the best gold pitchers in the game. And I ended up giving him a really, really good fag of a 7.6. Coming up next is the guy that never fails to disappoint us, the 86 overall Steve Garvey. I don't know what it is about Steve Garvey cards, but I never like any of them. They're just not my cup of tea, man. He's usually always a first baseman. Every now and then I think he may have a secondary somewhere, but maybe it's like left field. It really doesn't help him that much. And he never has enough power to really justify his existence. Not his existence, but his, you know, putting him on your team. He just never does. And this card is no different. He has great contact, 97 contact against righties, but only 51 power. Against lefties, he's pretty good, 83, 70. So maybe he has like some platoon potential. You know, if you have a really platoon-heavy first baseman or something like that. But overall, it's just not that appealing as a hitter. He is a good defender, and he's got okay speed for a first baseman. So, you know, maybe you want to take that into account, but I just never like Steve Garvey's cards. I don't know what it is about the guy, but he never, I've tried him out a few times last year. He was never good for me last year. I probably won't try him out this year that much, but yeah, his attributes have just always seemed to not be very good for a first baseman. He kind of has that Keith Hernandez syndrome, where you know, he was a great first baseman in real life and he could hit and everything, but he just never had any power. And in real life, you can make that work, but in the show, it's a little tougher to make work. So I would not recommend going after the Steve Garvey card. He is pretty close to average, but I think for a first baseman, he falls pretty short of average. So so I ended up giving him a fag of a 5.6. Next up is the 85 overall Diamond Chase Headley, and I like this card. He has okay power, 71, 81. He's gonna hit for more power versus lefties, but 71 power is still perfectly fine for you know, for a switch hitting guy like this. He's gonna be able to hit plenty of home runs for you from both sides, and he has better contact versus righties, and that could come into play at the higher levels because he only has 57 vision, so that 82 contact will help you to have a bigger PCI versus right-handed pitching. Versus left-handed pitching, you might run into a bit of a problem making solid contact consistently, but if you can get to his power, that 81 power, you're going to be able to hit lots of home runs with him, and he's a switch hitter, so your opponent is never going to have the advantage when pitching. You're always going to have the upper hand on him. And fielding, very good, very solid, not spectacular. 83 fielding, 79 reaction. That's going to be fine for you at third base. He's going to make all the routine plays and some of the really tough plays. And his arm strength is fine. He's not going to hurt you defensively in any way at all. Doesn't have a lot of speed to help you out on the base paths, but that's fine for a third baseman. Overall, just a really solid card, and I ended up giving him a fag of a 7.1. Sorry if I'm rambling a little bit, guys, in this video, because I've got to get this video over the 10-minute mark so I can insert mid-roll ads and get more money. But next up, we have the 88 overall Will Clark. This is kind of the same situation as that Steve Garvey, even though I do end up liking this Will Clark a little bit more than the Steve Garvey, just because he's left-handed, and I prefer left-handed first baseman, or switch-hitting first baseman. And he just kind of has a little bit more average power overall. I don't know, like, does he? What was that Steve Garvey, like 71, 50, and this one's 68, 58. So, I mean, if he does, it's not by much. But, I don't know, it just seems like another thing about this Will Clark is that most of his power comes versus righties as well. And I value that a little bit more than power versus lefties. So I just like this card a little bit more, not a whole lot more than the Steve Garvey, but really any first baseman that is more contact oriented than power oriented, I'm not gonna love, but this card at least has enough power, versus righties to be able to be effective for you, and he's not gonna just be blooping, you know, hits and stuff like that, or outs most of the time, I guess. He's also pretty solid defensively. He's got good vision, you know, but really what matters with the first baseman is how good of a hitter they are. And this guy is just a pure contact hitter with decent power. Not great power, not bad power, but just decent power. So I think that makes him a little bit above average, and I ended up giving him a fag of a 6.4. I may get a little bit of pushback from this grade, considering that he's really not a whole lot different than the Garvey, other than the left-handed thing, and, you know, maybe marginally more power, but he also has a little bit more contact and stuff like that. So, I don't know. I just like the Will Clark a little bit better, you know. Disagree with me if you want, but when I look at this card, I see a card that is usable. I don't really see a card that's usable with the Steve Garvey unless you're using him as just a pure platoon guy that sits on your bench, and if you need a left-handed bat or a right-handed bat versus lefties, he can play in that role. I would start this card, not over most people, but if I were in a bind, I would start this card. So yeah. That is it, guys, for the... Oh, yeah, did I tell you his fag is 6.4? I think I did, yeah. But, guys, that is going to do it. We are done reviewing the Team Epics. The next thing that I think I'm going to start reviewing is the Immortals. Well, you know what? No, I take that back. We're not going to review the Immortals. We are going to review the cards that are acquired through other means other than the program. So that means like the Robinson Cano, the Battle Royale rewards, some of the event rewards, and stuff like that. So I might just do one video talking about all of those guys. It might be a little longer, and then we can get to the program or the Immortal rewards, so we can start reviewing those. I might do both the Diamond, like 50%, and the Immortals overall. So we're about to start seeing much better grades on these guys, so stay tuned. Anyways, guys, that is going to do it for this video. I love you. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Share this on Twitter too. I'll tweet this out, retweet it. It really helps me out. I've almost hit 1,000 Twitter followers, and I would really appreciate it if you guys could help me hit that mark. So yeah, guys, I love y'all. I will see y'all later, but until then, peace.